Well, sadly, all good things must come to an end, and that's it for the inaugural City Car Cup series. The car took some damage at Croft, but the dents, scrapes and battle scars have been tidied up, and our little Citroën is back looking resplendent in its livery, and almost certainly back to its original value of around £7,000 to £8,000. So the car is just one part of the initial cost of going racing. There are others that we need to talk about. The first thing you need to race in the UK is a licence, and if you haven't already got one, it can cost around £500 to get your first one. You need to pass the mandatory written and on-track examination called the ARDS test, and some drivers will need a medical. Once that's all done though, subsequent years' licences cost around £100 to renew. Next up, you need to be a member of a club, and the fee for the BRSCC is £150 for the first year. On top of that, you have the race entry fees, which are between £300 and £350 per event. What you need now is some race gear, and there's any amount of places you can get it from myriad brands, but I'll run through what I chose and why. My suit is this one from OMP, primarily because it was the best value. You can spend 4 times that amount for a lightweight, all-singing, all-dancing suit, but for me, it wasn't worth it. They say if you've got a $5 head, get a $5 helmet, so go with the most expensive one you can afford. I chose this one from Stilo, simply because the integral intercom will be especially useful in the rally car. It's mandatory to have an FHR or hands device when racing over here, so this one is the cheapest one I could find. There's hundreds of boots to choose from, but I went with these from OMP again because they seemed good value. The choices in gloves are varied and plentiful, but I very much prefer those with seams on the outside, so this pair did the trick without breaking the bank. Finally, the interface between your head and your helmet is vital for comfort, so this one with flat seams was perfect for me. So how much did it cost to get this car to the first race? Well, let's head back over to the Totalizer. So the car cost nearly £6,000 to build. My licence renewal, club membership, race entry fee, suit, helmet, hands device, boots, gloves and balaclava totted up to a grand total of £8,273 to get me to the first race. But of course, almost all of that is front loaded. We have race gear that will last years and a race car that will still be worth at least that £6,000 even after a few years' use.
That, of course, is not the end of the spend. Now, running costs are very much dependent on what car you're running in what series. We haven't really mentioned them so far because we haven't really had any.
Now, that's not entirely true, Nick. We've had to put some fuel in it. Fewer than 20 litres of Tesco's finest per event, though, because it still gets 23 miles to the gallon, even flat out. The PBS pads are barely a third worn, so that just leaves the tyres.
We didn't really know what to expect from the Nankangs because neither of us have used them before, but actually, for a budget road legal race tyre, these NS2Rs have been a bit of a revelation.
For a fairly sticky track day stroke race tyre, they really have been very good, offering oodles of grip and being predictable when they do break traction. This set has done every lap of every race and test session except for the very wet final race at Croft. As they wear, they keep getting better, so there's life in this original set yet.
The one thing we forgot to take into account that over the course of that treadwear, these tyres have lost about 1 kilo of weight each, and that's why we were quite so close to the weight limit at Silverstone.
You might think that spending nearly £10,000 on 4 races is mental, but the car is still worth 8 of that, so sell up and it's only cost you 2. Plus, you've got your race gear in stock ready for the next time. But it's not just that. Build it yourself, and this entry-level car with its simple platform equips you with all the basic skills and experience necessary to look after it, learning as you go and run it successfully at the track. And don't overlook the social aspect. 2020 aside, motor racing is primarily an excuse to hang out with like-minded individuals and drink beer. Or champagne if you're good enough. It may have only been 4 races in a truncated season, but the fact that we got to do any racing at all is testament to the hard work and dedication from those at the BRSCC, MSUK, City Car Cup and the tracks themselves. All we really wanted to do this year was get out the shed, blow off some steam and have some fun. And 4 races was plenty enough to do that.
It's also worth mentioning at this point that it doesn't matter who you are, what you drive or what your budget is, there's one thing you just can't go racing without: the marshals.
Every type of motorsport, from karting to rallying and circuit racing, has an army of volunteers who attend each event, waving their flags, attending incidents and keeping us competitors safe. The UK has the world's finest marshals who do it only for the love of the sport. So we'd like to say thanks to all of you, wherever you are, for standing out there in the heat, the snow, and the pouring rain, because without you giving up your time for us, we couldn't do the things we love to do. While we're here, we thought it might be good to answer some of the questions that keep coming up in the comments. The first of which is, what's with the WRC?
Well, while I wasn't originally over the moon with Richard's choice of colour, it occurred to me that whilst our little Citroen C1 was being built, a certain Mr. Loeb and a certain Mr. McRae were thrashing its bigger brother around bits of countryside.
The Gaulois-sponsored Citroen Zara WRC car from 2006 was a proper-looking beast. But on events where cigarette advertising was banned, the team changed the logos to the Go along with the exclamation marks. Our little Citroen C1 is a mite smaller, so we couldn't fit as many on. Why does our car seem a bit faster than others in a straight line?
Because it is.
Well, it is, but it's mainly due to the way we set up the geometry. Running the car with little to no toe in or out means it has less rolling resistance and is faster in a straight line. It's just harder to hustle through the corners, but it was a trade-off we were willing to take.
Now, we've had lots of suggestions in the comments about how we could make the car go faster. The trouble is, we just can't do any of them.
Blueprinting of the engine is specifically prohibited, but even if you did think you could get away with cheating, at many of the events, waiting for you at scrutineering is a mobile dyno.
As for extra chassis prep or a bit of aero, it's either just not allowed or it's just not worth it.
The reason the rules are so tight is to try and make it fair for everyone, and I have it on good authority that the rules are going to be even more strict next year.
I can't think why that is. Actually, there's a couple of things we didn't get to try. While the rules specifically state you can't artificially wear down the tyres, there's nothing that specifically says you can't bolt them to a different car and thrash them up and down the road for 500 miles. And while we can't do anything about the rear axle geometry, there's nothing in the rules that says we can't turn it to our favour by fitting the axle on upside down.
Sorry, Greg. So can you go sim racing for less than we've spent this year?
Well, yes, but question for you guys, where does gaming end and sim racing begin?
And finally, what are our plans for the car next season? Well, the more observant among you will have noticed that there's something conspicuous by its absence. Welcome to Thruxton. As well as being an active airfield, it's home to one of the fastest racetracks in the country. Although today we're not here to go racing, we're here for a very special Remembrance Sunday service. The original plan was to go to Anglesey to compete in Mission Motorsport's annual 12-hour Race of Remembrance, a fantastic event that raises lots of money for the charity while we all hoon around the track having fun. Unfortunately, that event had to be cancelled this year, so after Plan A went to pot, along with Plans B, C and D, Jim and his team organised a drive-in, socially distanced service for anyone to attend. Our plan from the very beginning of this series was to do the race at Anglesey and then donate the car to Mission Motorsport. Ostensibly because we've got no room to store it over the winter and we've already got far too many things to be getting on with to be buggering around with race cars next year. So we were invited to Thruxton to do the handover. We weren't the only ones with cameras. The event was being live streamed all over social media and the BBC sent 2 crews to the circuit. A virtual 12-hour Race of Remembrance was also being held online, with the obligatory pause at 11 AM.
Hello, are you part of the OB team?
No, we're our own OB.
Oh,
We're a
okay.
sort of standalone OB.
Wow, right.
I think. Yeah. No, we're filming it for our own YouTube channel.
How are you?
Yes.
Okay. Right.
We're missing part of. In fact, we're missing a very important part.
The most important.
Most important, the whole thing is our race car,
The car isn't here. So
which we are giving.
why don't we give you the Alpha away?
We're giving it to charity, and it should be over there.
Give them your car.
My car? It's only going to last the. Look at the dust.
I'll be surprised if you make it back home, to be honest.
The Alpha is on its last legs, but that was the least of my worries because Nick wasn't here yet with the car. Events like this always attract some lovely machinery, and while I hopped around nervously awaiting any indication of the whereabouts of the Citroen, more people poured in and the preparations for the service continued. Finally, peeking through the gloom, the dim lights of the LDV Maxus appeared, and behind it, the race car was still safely strapped to the trailer.
Don't know what you're worried about.
I wasn't worried, I was terrified. I'm not worried about Nick, it's more about the car. At this point, it's definitely worth thanking Nick's dad for the loan of the van and the trailer these last few months. Our transporter isn't quite ready yet, but it will be.
All right then. You all right? What's happened?
M6 South 10 to 9 closed because of an accident.
Oh,
The one place.
The only bit you need. The only bit you need.
I was like, anywhere else. Anywhere else.
Because you're getting off at 8. Oh.
6:15 I left.
oh.
Oh, mate. I've got some.
And I was supposed to be here before 9. You know,
Yeah,
give me plenty of time.
loads of time. Anyway, well, you're here now, and that's the main thing.
This only takes 5 minutes, apparently.
Right.
Right.
Hey! Film the other one.
Do you not know what you're doing?
No. Clearly. There we go.
Jimmy, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, everybody stopped at McDonald's except me.
Which way did you come?
Massive bell end.
Did you not come down the A34? Because there's one in Bicester.
Why would I do that when it's just literally M1, M25? That's A,
Oh my god, you went the really wrong way.
What you
Oh, no, you live over there.
You got here first. It was you that wanted to make it a race.
If you told me what time to be here, I would have been here on time. I tried calling you yesterday, you were watching Strictly.
Of course I was watching Strictly. I love Strictly. Anyway.
We need to move our cars.
Forward a bit because he wants them in a real.
Okay.
All of them.
Whose is the red one? Is
That's
that...
mine.
I can move them forward for you if you're happy for me to.
Oh crikey, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody.
You can move mine, mine's a black
Really?
one.
Really? You're
Yeah.
trusting me?
Yeah, yeah. I thought this took 5 minutes.
It does when there's two of us.
It's been 4 minutes.
Oh, that's why they threw me the keys.
I mean, the big clue is in it's always locked.
Yeah, it's alright, alright.
You do realise my car's going to be in this thing now?
In what?
Whatever they're filming.
You couldn't be more hard for that, could you?
I'm struggling to hold the camera, to be honest.
Oh my god.
We've got the gearbox.
Do you know what? I think he's going to really miss driving that thing.
There's no doubt about it. I've grown very fond of the C1 and it's done us proud. But with Mission Motorsport, I know for certain it'll be well looked after and do an awful lot of good for an awful lot of people. The charity's aim is to aid in the recovery and rehabilitation of those affected by military operations, by providing opportunities through motorsport and the automotive industry. They've engaged more than 2,000 wounded, injured or sick beneficiaries and helped more than 170 into employment. They do amazing work.
Let me just press record.
I wouldn't put it past you.
Jim tempts fate by leaning on the wing of my car while being interviewed by the BBC, and the car park begins to fill up before the service. I hadn't parked the car in exactly the right spot, so my stunt double Jack, who's likely to be part of the crew looking after it, moves it to the correct position.
Thanks, mate. Give it a quick wipe. But no more than a quick wipe. Well, the M6 closed. He's feeling fine.
How many times have you cleaned this thing now?
Oh, loads. Loads. Just smearing crap over crap.
You know he's been stood here going, how long do you think it'll be until he's finished cleaning
Yeah, we
it?
didn't
And
tell
then
you
I'll
about
walk
Nick.
across.
This is not your favourite sound.
The TVR.
Yes, that was my favourite sound too. If you like smears, he's done an excellent job.
Oh, I know what.
If you want smears, he's your man.
Just do that one.
Look at that. Look.
Oh,
No, not with the. That's the problem.
Have you used spit?
yeah.
Oh, it could be mine, that's why it's dissolving the stickers.
Ah.
At 11 AM we fell silent for 2 minutes, and after the service ended, it was time for us to take centre stage.
How are you actually going to hand this thing over? Have you
We have
worked
no
this
idea.
out?
I've got the
Who's
logbook.
standing
I'm
where?
just going to give them the logbook and run. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
We've got to just bring the van over and
Yeah.
accelerate as fast as we possibly can, so
Yeah.
all the stuff falls out the back.
That's
and that's
brilliant.
it.
LDV Maxes.
Oh yeah, we got to take all the stuff.
As usual with things like this, we just winged it, so the car was brought in front of the podium, and Nick finally got his wish for a younger, lighter driver. Excellent clutch control from Poppy Rose. We are so lucky to work with some fantastic partners, and all of them came on board with what we were doing here to donate to the charity alongside us. Nankang Tyres gave us a brand new set of boots, Redline Oils with some service fluids. Link Engine Management wouldn't allow us to take the fabulous dash system out of the car, so thank you for that. Kielder Tools did this beautiful flight case full of their terrific 18-volt cordless gear. SIP bequeathed an aluminium floor jack and a pair of our favourite axle stands. The BRSCC donated a season's worth of entry fees for the City Car Cup to Mission Motorsport, and Competition Supplies have set up a line of credit for the workshop to use. I told you before that motorsport people are the best people, and this just goes to prove it.
There you go. It's all yours.
Thanks, mate.
No
That's
problem at all.
extraordinary. Aston! Responsibility.
I'm the responsible one, apparently.
Thanks, mate.
It's yours now.
You have an elbow.
Thank you very much.
We're going to have a beer properly at
Let's
some point.
do that,
over
let's
this.
do that.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Pleasure.
How does it feel?
It feels great. It feels great. Yeah, we hopefully they'll get a load of use out of it, or whatever they want to do with it. It's their car now. It's not ours. So we had our fun. So is Jack, by the sound of it.
You're going to miss
Yeah,
driving
so-
it, do you think?
Yes, but no, I'll miss racing. We'll find something else to race. This was just one of those things. Fell into our lap. We did it, and now it's somebody else's. So hopefully they can make good use of it and have a bit of fun.
So we would like to thank you, not only for watching, but for taking such a keen interest in our little adventure.
Not only was this a way of exercising our brains and our racing muscles, but it was also a way of testing out how to bring you the conclusion of another one of our projects.
As it turns out, the best way for us to bring you all of the track action is to get someone else to do it.
You've had a sneaky preview, but with a heavy heart I suppose it's time for us to introduce him. He really is a massive member of our production team. Some people call him Tim?
But we know him as, get that camera out of my face, Ben.
So Ben, tell us a bit about yourself. Well, somebody did say they wanted to see me polishing my helmet.